All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's Breakout Watchlist. In today's video, I'll be covering 10 stocks that have breakout potential in the upcoming week. I wanted to rename this video the Relative Strength Watchlist, but because I've been doing Breakout Watchlist the entire year, we're just going to keep that consistent. But I understand that the market is not in a favorable environment right now. I'm sitting only 3% invested in one name and hedged on that name, so very little exposure to the market. As you can see here, QQQs have broke the 21 EMA, closed at the low of the day on Friday and on heavy volume. This is not a high probability trading environment. Please be careful trading these names. But with that said, these are the 10 stocks that have been holding up the best above key moving averages, pulling back on low volume, and have fundamental ownership. This video is sponsored by MarketSmith, which is the platform that we'll be using to break down each of the stocks' fundamentals, group strength, fund ownership, and other trading statistics. If you're interested in using MarketSmith, there's a link in the description below. You guys can try it out for 3 weeks for just $20. And before we get into the video, a quick disclaimer, please do your own due diligence before trading. Trading comes with financial risk. This is not stock or trading advice. And halfway through this video, if you're enjoying yourself, putting some of these stocks on your own watch list, leave me a like. It helps my channel out tremendously. We're trying to get to 6,000 subs before the end of the year. We're so close. So thank you so much for your support. Let's get into it. First, we'll start with AMD, which is in semiconductor group, which is the second strongest group right now out of 197. So it does earn that A+ group strength rating. Within the group, it is the 5th strongest on a relative strength and number 1 on a composite basis out of the 32 stocks that make up that group. On a relative strength basis, it's got a 97 rating, composite overall rating, 99, doesn't get any better than that, and does have a B+ accumulation distribution, meaning more of the higher volume days have come on up days versus down days, more buyers, less sellers. Taking a look at fundamentals, earnings per share up 63, 189, 250, and 78% year over year. Sales up 53, 93, 99, and 54. That's incredible. And after-tax profit margin up 20%, 19, 20, and 21. Taking a look at fund ownership, that has been steadily increasing up until June. We did pull back a little bit, but continued that uptrend in September of 2021 to 2770. After a previous earnings breakout, this is pulled back, and from the low in that base, we've rallied 62% and not pulling back much at all, even though the market is rolling over. So only down 10% from the high to the low in the shakeout. And on Wednesday, when the market bounced, this bounced higher and closed at the high of the day. Really strong move there. Friday, we had a about 2% down day. Still closed in the middle of the range on Friday and closed in the upper half of Wednesday's range. Again, Thursday we had off because of Thanksgiving. But this is extremely, extremely strong, closing above that 8-day exponential moving average. Ideally, this trades sideways for a little bit, and then we look for a break over Friday's high, 158.10 as a potential buy point for AMD. Next, we have BRLT. This is in retail jewelry, which is the 5th strongest group out of 197. So it does earn that A+ group strength rating. Within that group, because this IPO'd, very little data to work with, so 6th on a relative strength, 6th on a composite basis. Taking a look at taking a look at fundamentals, earnings per share up 800%, 350, 350, and then 25. Sales 76, 43, 119, and 33. And we're improving our after-tax profit margin 15, 7, 9, and 10%. It does have a B- accumulation distribution, but a C, 65 composite rating, 35 relative strength rating. Again, early in its IPO phase. Fundamental ownership, we only have 1 quarter to work with 44 funds in BRLT. Since this IPO'd, it has immediately pulled back, undercut the low in that IPO day, put in a little bit of a base, about 7 weeks here, and then blasted off on heavy volume. Let's do a quick measure there. About 36% move up. Since then, we've pulled back, 26%. Had a nice shakeout day, then 2 consolidation days. Before I go into a potential buy point, I want to point out Portillo's chart. Portillo's serves hot dogs, has nothing to do with jewelry. Nick, why are you pointing this out? Because it is a very similar look to the BRLT chart. We had a nice breakout here. 46%. We pulled back 24%, similar to the 26% that BRLT pulled back. We had a shakeout day and then 2 consolidation days, which made that nice pivot, and then a very nice 27% breakout before the market rolled over and this pulled back and had earnings. So going back to BRLT, here's the nice move up, the pullback, the shakeout day, 2 consolidation days. So then we are looking for a break over Wednesday's high, 1712, as a potential buy point for BRLT. Next, we have IONQ. This is in computer hardware, which is the 100th strongest group out of 197. On the weaker end there, C+ group strength rating. But within that group of 13 stocks, it is number 1 on relative strength, number 1 on accumulation distribution, and 7 on composite basis. It's got a 99 relative strength, 57 composite basis, but A+ accumulation distribution rating. Taking a look at fundamentals, nothing to talk about there. No positive earnings, no sales to really talk about, and no after-tax profit margin. So this is very much a technical play, kind of a momentum trade, not a fundamental trade. Looking at fund ownership, has increased 23, 41, pulled back a little bit to 33 in September. But since September, we've had massive up volume days. So chances are, once we get the December numbers, that will be higher than September of 2021. Looking at the chart, this went from $10 all the way up to $35 for about a 260% move up. Since then, we've pulled back 40%. And because that pullback is more than 25%, that qualifies the stock for a high type flag setup. We are looking for now a rocket base. That is what Leif Sereda has termed the pullbacks over 25% after stock has moved 90% or more in 8 weeks or less. So we do want to give this a little bit more time, but I don't think the stock is on many people's radar. I've seen it a couple times on Twitter and StockTwits, but really not often mentioned. So as volume is drying up, this is starting to trade sideways. I want to give this about a week or two to allow that 20-day moving average to catch up, the price to tighten up, ATR, average to range, that measures those daily candles. We want that as tight as possible so we can use as tight as a stop loss as possible and not get shaken out with normal volatility. But we're looking for a break over Wednesday's high, 27, nice round number, and then we'll also be over this main part of the volume shelf, so less resistance up top as well. But again, do want to give this at least another week to trade sideways before we try to trade it, allow the market to find some support, and maybe this can be a good trade in the future. IONQ. Next, we have LCID. This is the only stock that I own. It's 3% of my portfolio, but again, that is hedged. It's probably better to be in cash right now with everything going on, but still had one position that hasn't been stopped out. So this has a group strength rating of A+, auto manufacturers, 4th strongest group out of 197. Within that very strong group of 29 stocks, this is tied for first on a relative strength basis and is top 3rd with a composite rating, 10 out of 29. Has a relative strength rating of 99, very strong there, but a composite rating of 70 on the lower end because if you look at fundamentals, no earnings, no sales, no after-tax profit margin improvements, very much a momentum and technical play similar to IONQ. Does have an accumulation rating of A, which is always good to see. Checking fund ownership. This had a kind of blow off top in February, so you can see funds pouring in, went from 28 to 83. After that topped, went back from 83, 41, 31, and now we're starting to see that climb again to 88. And that's September. Since September, we've had a lot of very high volume up days, so look for that to increase in December's rating. After Lucid had its blow off top, a couple heavy volume down days, this really started to have the heavier volume come on up days all throughout the base here, which is a good sign. Even on the day where it made its low in the base, it gapped down, found support immediately. The low of the day was the opening price, and we closed higher in that range on heavier volume. Through there, heavy volume as it pushes higher, heavy volume as it pushes higher, and then we go through breakout, consolidate, breakout, consolidate, breakout. We're consolidating again. What really caught my eye was on Friday, we opened at the low and closed near the high of the day, while the market, the QQQs, S&P 500, they were making lower lows throughout the rest of the day, while this was making higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. So great sign of relative strength here. We're seeing volume tightening up. Average true range is just starting to tighten up a little early. I do not have a very large position size on this, but this is one of the stocks that continues to refuse to close under that 8-day exponential moving average, even though the market itself is under its 21 EMA right now. So this is one of the strongest stocks in the market with a great volume profile, institutional ownership starting to increase, something to keep an eye out for. So maybe a break over Friday's high. I'll add to that if the market continues, or if the market finds some support and pushes higher instead of continues its decline. If it continues its decline, I'll get stopped out. Very little risk on the trade for LCID. Next, we have MRAM. This is a semiconductor manufacturers, which is the 19th strongest group out of 197, earning it an A group strength rating. Within the group of 40 stocks, it's number 1 on relative strength, 14 on composite. It's got a relative strength rating of 98, composite rating 89, almost 290s there, and a accumulation distribution rating of B+. Taking a look at fundamentals, not much to talk about until the most recent quarter, which you can see very strong breakout on heavy volume. Then with a 119% earnings per share growth year over year, 46% sales, and 6% after-tax profit margin. Fund ownership has been declining up until September, but again, this earnings call happened after September, likely to see that switch in December. We just covered the stellar earnings. We saw a heavy breakout on heavy volume, 67%. That moved all the way up in 3 or 4 days to 117%. And then from that high, we've pulled back only 19%. So this does qualify for the high type flag that I love to trade, especially in favorable market environments. Right now, not as favorable. So we're going to be a little bit more cautious with trading anything. And you can see this tried to get going on Wednesday, but pushed lower, still closed green on the, that closed red on the day, but still closed above its open price. But false breakout, kind of a shakeout on Friday's action, only down 3%. A lot of growth stocks were hit harder than that and found support right around that $11.40 range. Never took out the low on the 22nd. Ideally, this trade sideways, allow that 20-day moving average to catch up, but does find support, continued support at this volume shelf here. Not a clear buy point just yet, but want to keep this on the watch list because it is showing great relative strength and is a high type flag setup in a very unfavorable market with MRAM. Next, we have Matterport, and this is going with that metaverse play. Roblox is also doing very well. Not going to cover that in this video, but one to have it on a general watch list as well. This is in computer software design, 21st out of 197 groups, an A group strength rating within the group of 12 stocks, number 1 on relative strength, number 9 on a composite, because if we look at fundamentals, no positive earnings, sales pretty low, after-tax margins getting worse, but this is kind of a theme play, a momentum play, 98 relative strength rating, accumulation distribution, B rating. Ideally, that would be much higher, but we are seeing fund ownership increase from 28 to 65. So Matterport had a nice cup, kind of another cup, and then a handle, blast off on higher volume. And similar to Lucid, a lot of the higher volume up days in the base, or a lot of the higher volume days in the base came on up days. You see 1, 2, 3. This is a down day, but we gap down, closed at the high of the day, still on heavier volume. And then you can see a lot of these towers on heavy volume, all up days, great accumulation sign. One thing I don't love about this chart is ATR is just continuing to climb higher. Maybe it's starting to flatten out here, but you can see these daily bars are massive right now. So if you're a low risk trader like me, using a 3% stop or a 5% stop, you're more likely to get stopped out with normal volatility before the stock's actually ready to take off. So this is a low risk or low probability trading environment right now. We want those daily bars to tighten up. Volume is starting to tighten up right now. Ideally, that continues to lower along with those daily ranges, and we can find a better entry point. But this is another stock closing either right at or above its 8-day exponential moving average, while the entire market is under its 21 EMA. Not a clear buy point. Let's give this some time, but put it on your watch list, MTTR. Next, we have another semiconductor, ON. It's 19th out of 197 group strength, so that's an A group strength, 93 earnings per share rating, which is very strong. Within the group of 40 stocks, this is number 3 on relative strength, number 1 on accumulation distribution, and 1 on composite overall rating. Got a 96 relative strength rating, 99 composite. Whenever both of those are 90s, we want to keep it on a watch list. Accumulation distribution rating, also an A+, checking all the boxes. I did a YouTube short on this a couple weeks ago because it is definitely one to watch. Earnings per share up 17, 250, 425, and 222 year over year. Sales up 3, 16, 38, and 32. And after-tax profit margin also improving 10, 10, 17, and 22. Fund ownership also increasing from last year, 1,003 to 1,405. So I put this on the breakout watch list through here. Nice inside candle, moved higher, and then had about a 7.5% move up. I didn't take that trade, but it was a nice trade to take. Since then, the market rolled over. This has pulled back, but it's only pulled back, 7.5%, while a lot of growth stocks are down 10, 15, 25%. This found support so far at Friday's low at the 20-day simple moving average. And then also, if we extend this out from the previous kind of resistance area here, once you close over resistance, it typically becomes support on the way back down. And that's what we're seeing, at least in the short term here on Friday, bouncing right at that 20 and the previous resistance area. Ideally, this trades sideways. We see, instead of this ATR ticking up, we see that coming back down. We find a lower risk entry point and we trade it then as the market is starting to find some support. ON. Got 3 more for you. The trade desk is next, TTD. It's in commercial advertising, 91 out of 197. So B- group strength, a little bit on the lower end there. But within that group of 36 stocks, it's number 1 on earnings per share, 4 on relative strength, number 2 on accumulation distribution, and number 1 on a composite basis. It's got a relative strength rating of 93, composite rating 94, 290s, always keep that on watch. Taking a look at the fundamentals, earnings per share up 147, 56, 100, and then 38. Sales up 48, 37, 101, and 39. And after-tax profit margin, this is really the incredible part. After-tax profit margin increasing from 58%, 32%, 32%, and 30% year over year. So becoming very profitable as a company. Fund ownership also increasing from 867 last September to 1095 this September. TTD looked really ugly actually going into earnings, closing at the low of the day under the 20, 50, 28, all the key moving averages, but had that really nice earnings report, opened up 23% and actually closed that day up 29%. We saw a follow-through day on the 9th and then 2 consolidation days, another blast off, and then the market rolled over. So this has pulled back a little bit. Let's see, 14% from high to low. It doesn't qualify for the high type flag because it's only up 67% from the low here, but still a very strong stock, pulling back and continuing to close just above that 8-day exponential moving average, something that not many stocks are doing right now. And actually tried to get going on Friday. Broke Wednesday's high, not many stocks did that, but as the market deteriorated, so did this stock, but still closed above that 8-day EMA. We're starting to see volume lightening up a little bit, ATR starting to tighten up. Ideally, this isn't a good entry point on Friday's high. Ideally, this trades sideways for a week and we get another entry point, but just wanted to throw this on your radar, TTD. Next, we have Unity Software, another metaverse play. This is in computer software design, 21 out of 197. It's got a group strength rating of A. Within that group of 12 stocks, it's number 2 on relative strength, 2 on accumulation distribution, and then halfway through 6 out of 12 on a composite basis. Has a 96 relative strength and an 81 composite rating with an A- accumulation distribution. Similar, does not have the strongest fundamentals, negative earnings per share, but sales are increasing 39%, 41, 48, and 43 year over year, but not profitable. You're seeing after-tax profit margin deteriorating 38%, 11%, 1%, and 5%. So we are starting to see that decelerate, but still negative year over year. Fund ownership on this has been increasing from 225 last September to 641 this September. Big money flowing into the stock. Just like the name, Unity Software, U had a nice U shape to it. A little bit of a consolidation, shakeout, and then rally into earnings. This was the earnings day where we actually gapped down. A lot of earnings gapped down on that day, but buyers stepped in and we closed it above on the day about 10%. We had continuation the next couple days and then the market rolled over. So from the high to the pullback's low, we did pull back 18%. Not terrible, but ideally that's a little bit less. But then we had Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday's candles inside. Nice to see, but this could be a bear flag where this is just tightening up before making another move down. That's why we don't anticipate the move, we react to it, and we're only buying on the way back up. So if this breaks over Tuesday's high, 185.20, that's a potential buy point. Ideally, this does like kind of curl up instead of just breaking out immediately, especially if the market's not ready to have a sustained rally. But one that's still above the 20-day moving average, has good group strength, right theme to focus on. And if we do shut down again, I doubt we will, but if we do, metaverse theme is definitely something to take a look at with Unity Software U. And finally, we have XPEV. This is a very, very strong chart to look at. It's got a group strength rating of A. It's in auto manufacturers, 4th out of 197. Within that, or A plus group strength rating, within that group of 29 stocks, it's 8th on relative strength, second on accumulation distribution, and overall composite rating 9 out of 29. Has a relative strength rating of 91, composite rating 74, and accumulation distribution A+. Take a look at fund ownership. That is increasing from 304 last September to 626 this September. Doesn't have profitable earnings. You can see the after-tax profit margins still negative year over year, but sales are rapidly increasing from 375, 674, 597, and 203 year over year. So XPEV kind of had a VCP look to it, although the ranges were way too wide for Mark Minervini's likings. 62% pullback from high to low there. Second pullback, high to low, 30%. And then third, we had a pullback, 12%. So each of these pullbacks getting lighter and lighter. You can see nice consolidation through here, and actually a nice buy point on Tuesday as it was breaking through here with heavy volume. While the market was rolling over, this was pushing higher. Wednesday, the market bounced. This continued higher with higher highs, higher lows, closing near the high of the day, again on heavy volume. And on Friday, what did this do? It pulled back down 6%, but it did find support right at the previous breakout point. So again, where you close over resistance, then becomes support typically. And we have the 8-day exponential moving average as well. So while the market's rolling over, this is pushing on. And then Friday, down 6%, the market was down, but still above that breakout point. This can consolidate for a couple days, and then we find a lower entry point, maybe Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesdays high, something like that. That would improve the trade, because then we could keep a very tight risk with the stop under Friday's low. So keeping this on the watch list. Don't have a perfect buy point to this just yet, but a stock that's completely bucking the trend and moving higher on heavier volume and pulling back on lower volume when the market's really under the 21 EMA on heavier volume, something to watch for, XPEV. All right, that's going to be the breakout / relative strength watch list for the upcoming week. We just covered 10 stocks that are showing the best relative strength compared to the market. Again, this is a low probability trading environment with the QQQs, S&P 500, both under the 21 EMAs and doing so on heavier volume last week. No reason to be pressing right now as a trader. Allow the setups to form, allow the markets to prove itself. But if they do, then these are the 10 stocks that you want to keep on a watch list. If you guys enjoyed the video and are adding these stocks to your own watch list, do me a huge favor and leave a like. It takes 1 second, but it helps YouTube push this out to new traders, and subscribe to my channel. I make these breakout watch lists every Sunday and then go live on Tuesday night. I'll see you guys in that live stream Tuesday night. Take care.